This is Dr. Matt Barber of Alabama Orthopedic Clinic. We are proud supporters of Ransom Reprogram, Ransom Ministries, and all of the good work that they do in our community. If you would like to learn more about us, check us out at alortho.com or barbertotaljoint.com. You can also hear more from me personally on the Ortho Real podcast. Thank you again for allowing us to be involved with Ransom Ministries and all of the great work that they do.
Hey, welcome to the Ransom Experience. My name is Matt Armbruster, Executive Director of Ransom Ministries. You're going to hear stories from people that we've served and people that serve alongside us, as well as those that we partner with throughout our community. You're going to hear about decisions they made throughout their life and things that happened through different avenues of their life that caused them to go down a path that they didn't see themselves going. And then also those decisions that they have to make on a daily basis to stay away from those decisions that they made in the past. Ransom Ministries empowers people to utilize their God-given gifts and talents in their career and for their community. All along the way, we learn how to help those close to us and also maybe even help ourselves. This is real. This is raw. This is Ransom.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
This show is brought to you by Ransom Recycling, your number one choice for electronic recycling in Mobile, Alabama. Help reduce waste in our landfills by recycling all of your unwanted, unused, and non-working electronics. Ransom Recycling is a division of Ransom Ministries that is helping to put men and women back to work. Check out ransomministries.com for a complete list of acceptable items. Drop-offs and pickups can be easily scheduled through the website. Please note that we are not accepting TVs at this time. Ransom Recycling, open 8 to 3 Monday through Friday. Help our planet while helping men and women re-enter the workforce.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
Welcome to the Ransom Experience, where we talk to past participants, volunteers, friends. Kind of got one of both today. She was a participant years back, and then now she's been volunteering a little bit before she moves on to her career. So I have Julie here today. Thanks for coming, talking to me.
Thank you for having me.
So we interviewed Julie. I don't remember what episode it was. I should have looked, I guess. I want to say it was like one of the first ones we did. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now and find out which one it was.
Yeah, I know it was a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah, it had been a while. But anyway, so she's been helping volunteer, do some cleanup around here while she's in between jobs. And I wanted to have her on here because I wanted you to hear kind of her story, kind of where she came from. But also, you can go back and listen to her other podcast. By the way, I found out which podcast yours was 2. And kind of what she's been doing since she got out of the Home of Grace and she left Ransom Reprogram. So kind of started out and tell us just a quick snippet of kind of where you came from and what you what your family was like.
Okay. Well, I came from several different addictions that created one addiction after the other. But I have 2 great parents. One, my father was a musician, very creative type, so he always was challenging me in areas like with that as far as my thinking. And my mom, she was sick a lot when I was younger, so she wasn't in the bigger picture of things, but she was still a great mother. But I spent a lot of time with my dad, and went on the road with him in band jobs, and that's where I kind of learned how to be a little rebellious with some of the kids in the band. We would sneak alcohol, and I realized it actually fed something within me that I didn't like, and it just spiraled out of control. I mean, this is early. I was probably 10. And in that journey, when drugs wasn't really feeding a lot of it. I became a cutter, eating disorder. Trying to think if there's any other addictions in there.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So back on the cutting thing, you know, at first I didn't really understand it. So I did a lot of research on it and kind of talked to people. And what they told me, and you can tell me if this is wrong,
Yeah.
is that when you have a lot of pain, whether that internal pain or whatever, that cutting yourself takes the focus off the pain within and puts it on outside. Is that
Yes,
why
yes,
why that
absolutely. It's almost like a release, kind of like even when you're using, you have that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
It's a type of adrenaline rush, but it's at the same time, it's a lot of, when I look back at it, it was a lot of hatred and anger towards myself because I was the problem.
Oh, that's good. So, yeah, because so someone just out there listening that they don't understand that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times things we don't understand, we just kind of throw to the side instead of trying to learn about them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, you know, and it's also, you kind of know that you're not supposed to be doing it because you hide that a lot of times.
Yes.
So, you know,
Yes.
you do it in places that people can't see.
Yeah.
And it's more or less, and then that probably adds to the hatred.
Yes.
Of
Oh,
yourself.
absolutely. Because it creates the shame in it.
Yeah.
Because that was actually my one coping mechanism. Because I went into rehabs and hospitalizations because of it, but I still had that tool. That was something I could still hide.
Yeah,
and I
nobody
would
could
go
take
to
that.
links to find things that I could use, like even as even taking your fingernails.
Yeah, and scratching.
Yeah.
Yeah, just causing some kind of
Yeah,
pain that
yeah.
would redirect it.
Yeah.
And I can totally see that because people do different things. I mean, it is kind of like an addiction.
Yeah.
You know, you cover up with drugs kind of the pain and the hurt so you don't have to think about it.
Yep.
But this is more of an instant thing that you can just do without having to go buy illegal drugs.
Right.
And you don't have to have no money because you're always with yourself and
Yep.
you always have that. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that. So how did you kind of get to, first of all, the Home of Grace, and then how did you come to us?
I came to the Home of Grace by a friend of mine, Lisa, that lives in Mississippi. She stayed along me with my journey. She actually picked me up on the side of the road when I was 18. And we stayed in touch. And I slipped back into addiction through the years, and she asked me to come see her in Mississippi. So I packed my car up, all my belongings, and I was in a really bad place. And when I made it there, she realized how bad of a place I was in, and recommended the Home of Grace and got me there.
Awesome. So you went there, and then we were part of that program.
Yes.
So then you
And
came
then-
here.
Yes.
So what was your thoughts on Ransom when you first got here?
It stressed me out at first, but I can see now in the last year a lot of those tools that I was taught at Ransom coming into play.
Yeah.
At that time it didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I continued with it. A lot of things in recovery I don't think make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
But as you work them, it's like, I
That's why they
see
said
what was said to me.
Yeah, that's why they told me that. I got it. It took me a year, but I figured it out.
Yeah.
So you got out of the Home of Grace, you graduated from there and here, and then you had a time there. I remember
Yes.
that you kind of struggled a little bit.
I did. And a lot of it was because I wasn't willing to deal with the things that I needed to deal with on the inside of myself.
Yeah.
I was still running from a lot of those things. Until I could face those head on and actually deal with the pain of it is when things just started to happen for me, you know, and then my eyes started to open up to a lot of things that I'm like, whoa, my perspective and my mind was so skewed.
Yeah. Well, so one thing that I loved about you is that you came to us when you were struggling.
Yes.
And see, I think that's the key is
Yeah.
that we don't isolate. And I think there's probably people out there listening that might be in isolation right now
Yeah.
that they're trying to get themselves alone because of whatever. They failed, they messed up, they whatever, and they're beating themselves up. So that leads into that same self-worth and, being embarrassed or whatever. But I really respected you because you came and told me. I remember the conversation we had back then in the office. You said, I'm just struggling. I'm just having a tough time. And I think just talking about it is, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
So does talking about that or going to someone about it, how did that help you?
It helps to have a safe place to be honest with what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that was a lot of my problem. Try not to cry here.
That's all right.
Okay, a lot of my problem was not having that safe space without someone judging you or shaming you in any kind of way, because I had enough shame that I was shaming myself. But I remember the one thing you asked me, all you said was, well, what do you think happened? It's like, that's a good question.
I remember you saying that, actually.
And that helped me re-examine and go back and let me see what I'm actually doing wrong, because obviously something isn't going to work. And one quote actually came to my head as I was going over getting ready for this podcast, and it was, you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it, which was Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
And you can, and if you continue to go back to that routine of trying to solve the problem that way, it's not going to happen. You have to change something that's going to change your perspective.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and so that is the key, is not having judgment. I think speaking to people out there that are dealing with people that are in addiction, family members, their kids or whoever, is that the whole judgment thing don't work. They already have enough. They already feel bad enough.
Yeah.
We don't have to put that on them. But I think I learned this from Jesus, actually, is ask a question.
Yes.
Because it puts it on you. It's like asking you that
Yeah.
question. What do you think happened?
Yeah.
Instead of me saying, well, you shouldn't have been around these people, or you shouldn't have done this, or you should have done this. Instead, say, why do you think that happened? And I think Jesus modeled that for us. If you read through the scriptures, he always answered a question with a question.
He did.
Because it makes the person think.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it feel like this is something I need to deal with, or this person can give me wisdom all day long, but in the end, I have to figure it out.
Yep.
And I think I've seen you figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I know you still struggle. All of us do. I struggle. But I think, so tell me, so you went to work for Clifford.
Yes.
Who's been on our podcast.
Yes.
And you stayed there quite a while.
Yeah, I was there a little over 2 years, but it taught me a lot about just being persistent with something.
Yeah.
And, doing the best you can with what you're given in a job. And it taught me how to be reliable. But it also gave me a lot. It was a job that I could have. I was a delivery driver, delivering people's clothes back and forth. But it gave me that time to myself as well, to really reflect and learn. And I used a lot of podcasts, and it was a good reflection time, you know, and it wasn't over stress. I wasn't trying to do a whole lot of stuff. It was just perfect for what I needed it to be at that time.
Yeah. So you went there. I remember, because you really didn't know what you kind of wanted to
Not at
do.
all.
Because we talk about the ABCs, any job, better job, a career. And that was kind of your any job. I'm just going to get a job and be real. And I thought it's cool because you were real reliable. I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, there was times where I'd be like talking to Clifford. I said, hey, is Julie still there? Because I had so many go there.
Yeah.
And last like a week or 2 weeks. And our track record with Clifford wasn't very good. And but he's, man, she's doing it. So that encouraged me because I saw that you were being faithful to what God had brought you to. So then I remember you telling me, I found out you was in a welding school.
Yeah.
And that you wanted to be an underwater welder. Was that
Yes. Yes.
So you want to be a welder, which if anybody knows Julia, she's sitting in front of me, so she's not a real like big person or, I mean, it's just what I was kind of blown away because I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
And then I started really getting to know you and knowing. And I realized that's so much her, though, is doing something just out of the box, something that no one else would have thought she'd want to do. I mean, even to driving a delivery truck, delivering clothes. I mean, that wasn't what people probably thought you was going to be doing.
No, not at all. No.
But you did it. So you moved through that. You went to school. So tell me about that process. Kind of what did you do as you were working for Clifford? You kind of tell us what happened.
As I was working there, I got an opportunity to do some classes out at AIDT, and it wasn't going to cost me anything, so I thought, why not? And in the welding thing, it was kind of intimidating at first because, of course, there's not a lot of women.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 other females in the class, and it was something new, but it was hard. It was really hard, but it taught me that I can come through those things that I would constantly tell myself, like, why am I even trying to do this? What's the point? I'm not good at this. Look, I'm a female and this isn't going to work. I can't do this. But as I pushed through it and started to actually take in some of the wisdom from people who had been doing it for years and being open to that instead of just shutting it down, because I was real bad about, not listening to what people are trying to teach me, and taking it all wrong. So as I worked through those kind of just my own trauma issues with the class, I excelled in it.
Isn't that cool how that works, though?
Yeah.
You're in a welding class,
Yeah.
and you're really learning more like psychological stuff
Yeah.
about yourself
Yeah.
and how to work through doubt.
Yep.
And so you worked through that. You finished it. Was it like a 6-week course or 8 weeks?
It
or
was 3 months.
3 months.
3
Wow.
months. Yeah.
So you did the 3-month class, and then you kind of didn't know. I remember you coming over here, and we met a few times, and I know you've been meeting with Angela, and you guys are good friends.
Yeah.
And so you've been kind of going on. What do I do? Do I do this? So tell us about that process.
That it was rough. And I think what made it rough is I was trying to take control of it. But once I let it go and kind of let God move in it a little bit and show me where I needed to go in what direction, it helped. I was going to take a job in Virginia. I actually wrote something on this. I'm just going to read this out.
Yeah.
That's cool. So a few months ago, I announced I was moving to Virginia. However, there has been a change of plans. I'm staying in Mobile and taking a job at Austal, a local shipbuilding company. I never thought I would turn down an offer to leave here because it's where I've had to face a lot of my truths. So a part of me was ready to go start somewhere new. But once the option came to stay, I realized this was home. This is where I wanted to be. I have roots, friendships, family, and love here. I don't have to leave to hide from what was, but I can continue to grow at what I'm discovering.
That's good.
So that whole process of looking for a job here was frustrating in itself because I couldn't find anything. Nothing would open up. And then this job in Virginia, they had offered me the position, and I'm definitely one of those people that loves to travel and go to new places.
Yeah.
And I've done it throughout my life, starting new places, but I realized how hard that was, and it was like, do I really want to give that up or just be a little bit more patient? And when this came up, it was like, wow, okay. It helped me realize the good I had going here that I couldn't see before.
Yeah.
It changed a lot of my perspective, and like, this is what I've been wanting all my life, this connection. And I was like, I can't give that up right now. No, I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah. So you're going to work for Austal.
Going to work for Austal. Yes, I start Monday. I'm really excited. Really,
I can
really
tell.
excited.
It looks like you are.
Yeah.
I wish you guys, I really need to start recording these things like video, because to see you from the first interview, which was actually interview number 2 I ever did, and now we're on like 72. So you're my second one that we did.
Okay.
And so I look back, it was in November of 2020.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So to look at you, even like in my mind, I can picture us sitting in this across from each other in the mics. And I remember what you still weren't quite there confident wise.
Yo, no, not at all. Not at all.
But now I see a confident woman that knows that she's listening to God and she's going to go where she's supposed to go. But it's all because you waited.
Yeah.
And I tell people, the key is to be honest and obedient. If you can be those two things,
Yep.
you will succeed.
Yep.
Because a lot of times we're not honest with ourselves. So you were being honest with yourself for the majority of that. And that time and by the way, Clifford is the owner of Waits Cleaners, so I got to give him a little plug because I didn't really say that. But Waits Cleaners, best cleaners around. But anyway, so you owe me some money now, Clifford. But he does listen to this, by the way. But to see you use that opportunity that seemed like an A job, whatever, wasn't going to be your career, to grow, like you were saying, listening to podcasts, taking advantage of the time that you had, or spending time with yourself and really being honest with yourself. I think the people out there that are listening, that are struggling to make decisions, they need to first keys, be honest with yourself.
Yes. And that's it's hard. It's harder said than done, but
it's way harder than it's so much easier for others to tell us that.
Yeah.
But when you're in the middle of it, but I think you did it and you saw it work.
Yes.
So now it's going to be more of who you are in decision making and all that, because I was real proud of you because that job opportunity came. We had looked at other places that we could play, that would need some welders. But then that came and you're thinking, oh, this is it.
Yep.
But then you're like, maybe not, and then this one comes up and it's like, but I love it because I think the reason that you were waiting is because you knew God had put you here for a reason.
Yeah.
And you have a family here. You have people. I know Angela, loves spending time with you. You guys kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Or going hiking for a whole week. I don't get that. But I think to see you now, and it was cool because I saw you when you first came in and you said it was kind of weird and didn't know what to expect and it was uncomfortable. I saw that person. Then I saw you leave and I saw how much you had grown. And then I saw that person that came back and was struggling, but really didn't want to struggle, wanted to figure it out. And then to see you now, it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's been to see the fruit from a lot of it now is like, wow, that was worth every second.
Yeah. Even though in the middle of it, you're thinking, what the heck? Why don't God just like drop it?
They're talking about.
Yeah, these people are stupid. I'm not waiting on him to come fill this up. But now, and I think that happens a lot. Probably a lot of people out there have given up before they saw it. And we probably have in our lives. I mean, you probably before, I know I have, is that I give up before I actually see the fruit. And that it's got to be frustrating, first of all, to God, but it's frustrating to us as well.
It is.
If we can look back on it. But man, it's been so awesome to talk to you.
Yes,
I'm glad I got to talk to you before you go to work, because before you start back to work, because I know it'll probably be
gonna be
busy, and we'll be praying for you. All out there, pray for us. She starts this new endeavor, and there's a lot to learn. Anytime you start a new job, there's a lot to learn, and I know you're gonna do awesome though, and I know, and so I appreciate you again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And so y'all out there, y'all listen to Julie's story and understand, it's time that we need to wait. We need to wait on what God wants us to do. We need to make those decisions based on that, and also just understand that even though you might be somewhere that you don't think you want to be, it might be right where you're supposed to be. So thanks for listening to us today. I hope you will rate this podcast, share it with your friends, follow us on all the social medias, go to our website, ransomministries.com, to find out more about us. And then we just hope that you enjoyed it, and we will hope that you'll join us next week. And until then, we'll see you next week.